Okay, we'll try this one again. Welcome back to the second part of our Helen Godden 2.0 paint along. First of all, I want to show you, because we had some questions yesterday about these paints. I'm going to hold the paints up because Tyler says hold things up. This is what we're working with. Is that good?
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay. This is our Exciter pack. I think there's 9 different bottles of pearlescent or metallic paints in there. And we brought them in mostly to paint on fabric because that's what we do around here. But we did do a test on glass yesterday, and so it's still there. It doesn't wash off, and I'm discovering that now that it's sat overnight, it doesn't scrape off all that easily either. So yeah, if you wanted to get the kids to paint a special mug for Grandpa, I think as long as you made sure it was hand washed, it's going to last for a little while. So then I thought, okay, let's try these paints on different surfaces. I don't know if we can hold this up, if we can see this. So I pulled out these little wooden balls with eyes on the top. So obviously the paint goes on really well onto porous surfaces like wood. Painted those up in gold. I think I'll make some Christmas earrings on those ones. I tried it on our cork fabric, and I was using up the gold paint. So it's a little hard to see because it's a very similar color to the cork. Went on pretty well. You can still see a bit of the texture of the cork through the paint on that one. This is our Craftex, and that is actually a washable paper product. I had a wee scrap of the craft paper color, put some gold on there, but it's great for making everything from book covers to little bags, little handbags, wallets, and it looks even kind of funkier if you soak it and crumple it all up. It gives it that sort of nice distressed look. And then you can glaze it over with your paints. Looks pretty classy. And then I tried it on plastic. This is one of our empty thread spools. So the coverage on plastic wasn't quite as good, but if you put a couple layers on, that might work fairly well for kids crafts. So pretty multi-purpose on this stuff. Okay, so here's our panel. I did my homework. Look at that. It's all painted. So what have I done with this panel since we were here yesterday? Well, obviously, it's been completely painted. You can see on the edges, finished painting the panel, and you can see I've actually taken the paint outside the edges on here so that when it's trimmed off and I put the binding on, I make sure I've covered all of the edges. Then I took it to the iron, just the top part here, and turned it the wrong side over and gave it a good pressing, because I found, especially in these larger areas, the paint made the fabric kind of buckle and pucker a little bit. So that did 2 things. That took away my iron off marking pen lines, and it helped to flatten the fabric down. Then I took my handy Sharpie marker and I went through. There was the odd place, and this is Helen's tip, where maybe you got a little too close and the black line isn't quite as heavy as you would like it to be. So you just touch it up just the odd spot with the Sharpie marker. There we go, like that. So then I have layered it. I just have a white backing on mine because that's what we had. Put some batting in between. And for something this size, I don't bother with pins or spray. I find if you take your little project like this to the iron, turn it over, press it good with the iron, and if you can, even press on the top surface. The friction is enough to hold it still for this amount of quilting. Okay, so shall we quilt? Leah has brought me a different machine. So I don't know if we're probably not going to be able to show you the front side of the machine right now, but this is a little Bernina 335. It's not the lowest price machine, but it's certainly not up into the higher end. You can see it's just a nice little machine. It would be a great machine to have on hand to take to classes with you. It's going to do all kinds of good things for you. So just like any free motion, if you've watched our videos before doing free motion, the first thing we want to do is bring up that bobbin thread. So I'm going to lower the foot, and I'm just going to turn the flywheel on this one. Just turn it towards you, one revolution, give it a little tug. There's that bobbin thread. So on these panels, the black lines are your traveling lines. They're going to separate out the areas, but they're also a good place to move from area to area. And you don't have to worry about overstitching because it's black on black. Why can't we use colored thread? Maybe we want to coordinate with the paint on the surface. It's a solid surface on that. So wherever the needle punctures it, we're working on black fabric, you're going to have a black hole. So if we have black thread, we have a nice line. But if we have pink thread in our pink areas, the pink thread's going to blend in and we'll just have that series of black holes. So we're going to quilt with black thread. It's really, really effective. So first thing I'm going to do, after bringing up my bobbin thread, I hope this machine works, haven't tested it, is I'm just going to stitch around. Actually, no, I'm going to do pebbles. I'm going to take this area, this green area here. This is actually the halo blue gold. So blue plus gold equals a slightly greenish look. And we're just going to go, and we're going to stitch a circle. Now, I don't know if you can hear that, but every time that needle goes through that painted surface, it's making a little popping sound. So that tells you, let's cut those threads. Come on, add scissors. There. Free motion is one of those, yay, I get to sew as fast as I want. And we're going to put a row of pebbles around here. I've just reset the machine so it defaults to needle down, because now I can rotate this if I want to. Okay, so now we've got our ring of pebbles. I kind of like that. I'm going to stitch, travel around on this black inner ring, and just kind of set that off. Now this has got a fairly small throat and I'm feeling a little cramped here. So with the needle in the down position, I can just rotate that. Sorry about that. Just rotate that around. go. How much for, I think we're right there. So now I want to do the outer ring. I can just follow along one of those circles and come right down here. Give a little pause, and we are. And it doesn't hurt to fold the panel up. There we go. So even with the paint on the surface, you can see how the quilting just sort of flattens things down, and now this center part looks puffier. So I'm going to go down. I painted the bow gold this time. Last time I painted it with the russet, and it looks a bit like a dog bone, so I think it needs some help. So let's go down to the bow. You can see just traveling along the same line. We're going to outline this part. And I think I'm just going to go make a little loop on there. And then we'll do this part first. Scoot over to this side. So you can see on this panel, I just painted it like the pattern. On the original, I was playing with my paints and I ad-libbed some berries in here, and I think I added a little loop of ribbon that wasn't in the original design. So feel free when you're working with the pattern to make it your own, to do something fun, to change the lettering or put a little additional things. What you want to avoid with something like this, because the effect we want with the stained glass is to see a lot more of the stitching, is don't make too small an area in a different color. Don't get over excited with your paints, even though it is an exciter pack. Keep the areas fairly large and use the thread to create the shapes. So obviously, the more times you stitch over a particular line, the darker that line is going to be. Uh-oh, let's pause, rotate. How are we doing? Looks good, everybody. There we go. Oh, let's put some silver berries. There we go. So I just threw a few berries in there for fun, and there's no reason why you couldn't go in after the fact and dab a little bit of paint on there. All right, where do I want to go next? I think I'm going to stitch this black line. Now I have the option, I can cut my threads, but with these black spaces in our stained glass, I can also just find the most convenient pathway. Like that. There we go. This is a great way if you're a beginner at free motion, because you can't see a lot of your stitching, you can't see your stitch length. This is a good way to practice and get the feel of your machine and your thread and your projects without having to worry about maintaining that even pace to get straight, even stitches. Nobody's going to see it anyhow. So now I have this edge to do, and I have to decide if I want to quilt anything in there. I just might outline the letters. Okay, what shall we do in here? I think, should I be fancy? No, it's too late in the day to be fancy. So that's what we've got so far. I think what I'm going to do is finish this off, put a new bobbin in, and tomorrow, I'm not sure what Leah's going to be talking about tomorrow, but maybe we'll have this all completed and let you see how the finished product came out. So I kind of like the pink and the turquoise in the joy section there. And if you, I don't know if it'll show up really well on camera. We were wondering yesterday about overpainting and how bright the colors were. And this pink, when I first put that on, it wasn't really pink. The O has one layer of paint on it, and the J and the Y have 2 layers of paint. So you can see there is a slight difference in the intensity of the color, but it does seem to dry brighter and stronger than when you're first brushing it on. I think that's the metallics that's in it. So that's kind of fun. So have fun with your paints. Paint yourself a t-shirt, paint yourself a little panel, paint yourself a Christmas ball or a pair of earrings. And we'll hopefully have this done and show you tomorrow. In the meantime, what do we say? Stay safe, stay calm. And what's the third one, Tyler? I can't remember.
Stay kind.
Stay kind. Thanks, everyone.